Since the inception of The Sims back in 2000, we have always had the opportunity of creating Sims from scratch. There's a lot of creativity involved, and many players, such as myself, like to just make themselves in The Sims and to live vicariously through their Sims. A lot of my videos are based off of that overall concept, and I always love recreating myself in The Sims. When comparing the overall appearances of The Sims in The Sims 3 to The Sims in The Sims 4, it's undeniable that overall the aesthetic of The Sims 4 is much more realistic and better. However, Sims 3 Create a Sim was groundbreaking for its time when it came out, and there still are a lot of customization options that players often forget about. So today, I'm going to try to recreate myself in The Sims 3, making my Sim self as realistic as possible. My goal is to show all the haters out there just how many customization options we really do have in the Sims 3 base game. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into Create a Sim in The Sims 3. Alright, so we are in Create a Sim. Welcome. This is Create a Sim for The Sims 3. Gave myself a name, and I'm going to be a young adult for the purpose of this video. I did go ahead and adjust my skin tone, which for me is about as pale as they get. I did want to talk really quickly about the body modifiers, and it was a little annoying because he has his clothes on in Create a Sim, and for some of these body modifiers, unless you remove the shirt or for the female are in a bikini, you won't notice some of the changes, such as like muscle tone if they have their shirt on. So I actually just put him in athletic wear and removed the shirt. We're not going to really get into depth here on body modifications because there's just not a lot of options in The Sims 3. We're going to be doing more of the facial modification structure, but did just want to show here, you can be fairly thin or quite overweight. This was the first Sims game where there was a lot more options for body modifications, but still not a lot of options when comparing it to The Sims 4. We have muscle size here, which is interesting because to me, all it does is just give them broad shoulders. Not really a lot of like customizations for the actual muscles. And then we have muscle definition, which again, I had to remove the shirt because you can't even notice muscle definition if they have their regular clothing items on. So we're going to go ahead and go into face by clicking on the face. And the first thing that I always recommend is to always edit at the global setting, and to know that you're in the global setting is just to hover over this like image here of the actual face, and there's this button, and if you hover over it, it says global. So they're actually on like a numeric number system. So we're at 65 right now. We could crank that all the way to 256. So this is just giving us the option of the positioning of the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, where it's going to go on the actual face. And so I'm just looking at this photo of myself. I am smiling quite a bit, but this will help to just kind of give me a little bit of an idea here. I think I'm at about this level here. And then we have face profile. So this is like the actual profile of your face. It can go outward or it can come more inward. I definitely have more of like a prominent facial profile. I know what that looks like just from, knowing how I look. And then lastly, we have head width. So I definitely do not have a wide head. Right off the bat, I'm noticing now that my Sim has like this very nice squared jaw. I have a jawline, but not that dramatic. So that's the first thing I want to edit. So we can just hover over to the jaw on this, toolbar here and click edit jaw settings. And then within that, look at how many options we have. We have a lot of options here. So for those that always complain that you can't customize Sims in The Sims 3 like you can in The Sims 4, true. There's some truth to that, but there's still a lot of customization options here. You just have to be really good with these sliders. That's the key, and that's the secret. Next is the jaw shape, and I think this is where it's really crucial for trying to get that face structure as similar to mine as possible. So we're going to take jaw shape and we're going to kind of pull this inward more that way. And that already looks so much better. I'm realizing the hair color is kind of throwing me off a little bit. I'm not going to like worry too much about hair color right now, but I am going to just change that. And I'm going to remove the beauty marks on the face too. just so we have as minimal distractions as possible. Next, we're at scale. Do you have like large eyes or smaller eyes? I mean, I don't know what makes an eye large, what makes an eye small, but we're just gonna toggle around with this one. That looks about right. An eye socket height. I mean, how specific is that? The best advice I can give is just to look at your reference photo. If you're like doing a celebrity or yourself, move the slider around too while you're looking at the image. That's like my best advice. So eye color is fully customizable. So I have like this kind of grayish blue shade, which is kind of more in the hue of my eye color. And then what I like to do is I like to just take this like slider and make it as bright as possible so I can just see this color wheel. And we want like a grayish dark blue. So I'm gonna kind of move my cursor over to like a gray blue color combo. And I'm not paying attention to this little circle. I'm actually paying attention to the color here, and I want to see where that shade is. So now I'm just going to take this and slide it all the way down to the darkness that I need, which is about here, I think. Noses are actually really hard to draw if you have like a drawing background. I paint and do some things like that here and there. And I always, like when it comes to like figure drawings of people, have the hardest time drawing the nose. And I think the same can kind of be said even here and create a sim. So I always like to kind of edit first in profile view, just because I have a much more distinctive idea of what my nose looks like from my side profile than I do straight on. We have nose definition. If you want a real small nose, got your nose done. All right, we're gonna pull that back up. I have a pretty sharp triangular nose. And then we have our nose length, so how long or how short. Yeah, nose and eyes are very, very difficult to get correct. I will tell you, you have to be so patient with these sliders to try to get everything correct. And I am totally screwing up on the nose now. I can empathize with people where they can get frustrated with Create a Sim in The Sims 3. Oh man, the lips are throwing me off a little bit too. I think it's just harder using a photo where you're smiling. All right, I think this is as good as it's gonna get. You know, I'm normally not clean shaven, so that alone makes this really challenging with like knowing if it really looks like me. But I have a photograph here of myself, you know, without my beard, and structurally speaking, I got the face as good as I could. But we're gonna go ahead and go into the hair now and work on that, work on the facial hair, and then I'm gonna say it's as good as it's gonna get. Not a lot of great options for hair in the base game, that is for sure. I am not vibing really any of these whatsoever. I think this is probably as good as it's gonna get for that. And then hair color, again, we have like the full customization here with the color wheel. I am definitely like a dark blonde, light brown. I have more ash tones in my hair, but I am gonna darken it just a little bit. And then I'll give myself just some natural little highlights, not too many, but you can even give yourself frosted tips, which I think is pretty cool. I love the customization options for hair in this game. Really well done. Eyebrows almost look a little too manicured, but the other options are just awful. So I always tend to go with like the thinner option here. I went into this just thinking I was going to conquer the world, and I definitely have realized now just how limited you are with Create a Sim in The Sims 3. I think it's like, yeah, and there's something going on with the cheeks here. I almost need to fill those in more now that I'm realizing that. Cheek fullness. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna do like the full beard with stubble. Let's look how that looks. I mean, not terrible. All right, I mean, with the facial hair, it's starting to come together. I think the beards are atrocious in this game. I like the stubble. The stubble looks good, and I like the stubble with kind of the mustache. That definitely looks more like me. That's cool. Like we can get really linear here with like how customized even your mustache hair is. That is really cool. Okay, what do you think? I don't hate it, but it's definitely not what I was expecting. I thought that I was going to do a lot better job But overall, he's definitely in my likeness. I am totally excited to like play off of him for future Let's Plays and Sims 3 videos. I came in here very confident, thinking that I was going to be able to do everything perfect and to make a sim as accurate as me as possible, and that just wasn't an option. If you have any doubts about being able to make Sims in your likeness on The Sims 3, I don't think you should. I mean, I definitely think he's in my likeness, but he doesn't look exactly like me. That is for sure. Those sliders are tough. And the eyes and the nose were the two things that I just really had a hard time with. I think if I could finesse those a little bit more, he'd look a little bit more like me, but he's still in my likeness and I'm happy with how he turned out. So that was just our short little mini video for today. I wanted to show you the customization options you have using The Sims 3.